Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single day. Pick of the week for this weekend, right here, right now. I've made a lot of money betting against CU, as much as some people in this company hate that.
I don't even know how that's possible to make a lot. I mean, I can understand winning a bet or two along the way. It's pretty easy to do.
So with every CU game, you bet against them and you hammer the under.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they never score any points.
Yeah. And that's one where you're just like, you just hope that they don't give up so much.
Yeah, that they don't get blown out that bad.
Last year, USC scored like 2 points extra, and we were so mad about it because we both lost that bet.
Yep.
Yeah, it was tough.
CU's playing Air Force. They're 17.5-point favorites. If you believe in Air Force, you can go get on that bet. The under-over is set at 50.5, so I'm hammering that under heavily.
With the triple option.
Yeah.
And then with CU's offense.
That's
the 50.5 seems generous.
That's the game that ends like 24-7. So I'm going with that for my pick of the week for the weekend. It's that time of year where you can make ridiculous money on college football if you're good at it, which I'm not, but bet against CU's easy. So that's where we're at. On today's show, we're getting into current players that are headed toward the Hall. We'll talk about a couple like recent retirements too, but players in the NHL that are going to make the Hall of Fame. Look, we've talked a lot on the show about the trajectories of McKinnon, Makar, even Mikko Rantanen. Don't want to get into those guys because if they retired today, I don't think any of them get in. But people that if they retired today would be in the Hockey Hall of Fame, I should say. There's a bunch of obvious ones that we don't need to talk about. Crosby's in.
Rudo, let's start with you, because if you retired today, I think I'd put you in the Hall of Fame.
Aww.
Which Hall of Fame?
The YouTube Hockey Hall of Fame.
Oh.
There's like 3 people that would go into that total.
So?
And it wouldn't be me.
So it would be Dangle, the hockey guy, and then Rudo.
I'd like Dangle's in. The hockey guy's in. After
then
that,
Rudo.
it's probably like Rob Talks Hockey. You have like Maroki on defense.
No.
These
are all pretenders.
You have that Melody Martin is the girl who does the Sabres stuff.
Oh, the songs that she does.
Yeah.
Are adorable.
Yeah.
I have enjoyed.
So there's like at least 5 people that go in before me.
No.
And probably like dozens more than that.
No.
But, Gravity, he's definitely in before me.
No. Absolutely not.
Anyway, not very relevant. We already know. Look, AJ's already in the PHWA. That's basically the Hockey Writer Hall of Fame. So
only because I pay my dues.
I hope we find out someday that like the Hockey Hall of Fame makes the players pay for their plaques. That'd be hilarious. Anyway,
that'd be amazing. Like just sitting here thinking about that. Here's your plaque, and then it comes with like a bill. Mm-hmm. They're like, P.S. The labor was really difficult on this particular bust. So
I think the part that hurts is it wouldn't even surprise me if it happened. The NHL for a long time has been a little bit of a cheapskate league, but
yeah,
I guess it's I keep forgetting it's the Hockey Hall of Fame. Like people get in on international stuff all the time.
Yeah. There are some people whose cases are
purely international,
like
basically.
They're really enhanced by what they accomplish internationally
so on,
versus what they've done, I guess, domestically in the NHL.
Yeah.
So, chat really wants to talk about the championship DVD at the end of the year. I do miss those Sports Illustrated commercials. Like, the Colorado Avalanche have won the Stanley Cup, and that means you can get your commemorative plaque and DVD here in your magazine and blah, 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 blah. All you got to do is call this number and $39.99 plus shipping and handling.
Order now, and it comes with your replica Stanley Cup ring.
Exactly. I do miss those. I miss those commercials.
And then they cut to some random player saying they're going to Disney World. Yeah.
So RK's even got a Stanley Cup shirt on right now. So
I liked the promotion they did. I don't know if they've done it at playoffs before, where they had Stanley Cup tweets and they had people who had popular tweets during the Stanley Cup run. I think they sent plaques.
Yeah, Luca from Bar Down got one.
I think that's kind of cool.
I thought Bolden got one too.
Did he? He might have.
Yeah.
I just happened to watch Bar Down the other day and saw it. They like send him a letter and it's signed by Stanley. It's pretty great. Anyway, Hall of Famers. We're
signed by Mr. Cup.
Yeah, Mr. Cup. Sir Cup. We're not going to get into the obvious ones. Like I said, Crosby's in, Kane's in, Malkin's in, Ovechkin's in.
Guys like that are really like Zdeno Chara's obviously in. Duncan Keith will get in. Are there really any goaltenders? Like Lundqvist isn't in yet, but we know he will be. Like it's just a matter of waiting, right? Like easy enough. Let's start with goalie because I think it's the quickest position for us to work through. Is Marc-Andre Fleury going to get in just because everybody likes him?
Yep. He gets in on the character clause.
He gets in on nice guy and
guy tries hard.
Nice guy tries hard. Exactly.
And if he doesn't get in on the vote, like in 40 years when they have the people that get together that won't remember that he was backing up for 2 of those cups.
Yeah.
They'll be like, well, he won 3 cups.
Well, and the lack of NHL players being allowed to go to Olympics during this part of his career really shut down some of his opportunities to build an international resume as well. Because he would have been one of the few Canadian
almost certainly wins a gold medal there. Yeah.
Well, and then the other guy that he would have been competing with, though, Carey Price.
Yeah, but I mean, they're probably both on the team, right?
Does Carey Price get in? Is Carey Price?
I don't think so.
Why no? Because when he was at his best, he was one of the very best.
I don't think that the best was long enough, and unfortunately, he played on a not good enough team.
So longevity. What in the world?
Yeah, that was a little fly bug landed on.
I already had my face is already very uncomfortable today, and I got bugs flying at my eye.
It's one of those days. I don't think there's enough longevity there.
He has a pretty good international resume because he was successful internationally when he was healthy.
And like I could see an argument there. It might be a little bit hypocritical of me because I think Forsberg absolutely deserved to be in, and his peak was very, very short.
Well, and we've seen the NHL has Eric Lindros, Pavel Bure, Peter Forsberg are all in the Hall of Fame. And I don't think that there's any really good argument to keep them out because they were among the very, very best at their peak. Their problem was injuries. Their problem was longevity. And so I think with Carey Price, you're having kind of the same conversation, but it's with a goaltender, and there aren't a lot of guys like that we just...
there isn't that same track record with goalies, right?
Right.
Like most
there
goalies
aren't a lot of short-tenured goalies in the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
So Carey Price, I think I would lean yes because his best was just so good. And then, I mean, the cup run that they just made, obviously it's during the COVID-shortened season and this and that.
That might be what pushes him over.
And, he didn't have a great regular season. But then you go and you flip the page, you look at the postseason number, and you're like, golly.
The other one, if Vasi retires today,
so I think Vasi's obviously built that resume already. He's been a top 5 Vezina vote getter more years than he hasn't been in his career.
I'd put him in.
He's got the hardware. He's got cups. Believe he has a Conn Smythe.
I think one of them. Yeah,
I think between Kucherov, Hedman, and Vasilevsky, I can never remember who actually.
I think it's Hedman and Vasi.
Is it Hedman and?
Yeah, I know Hedman definitely has one.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
All right, chat will let us know. Either way, Vasi's got all the hardware that you could really, really ask for a goaltender already. And you want to talk about a guy that's gotten hurt not being able to play internationally.
Yeah.
Because
Sorry that you have to play 80 games every year as a goalie.
I think with Vasi, I think that's an easy, like, the answer is yes. Like, he's in.
Okay, Megan.
I was thinking of it because some of the measure for other players, skaters, is a little bit different, but for goaltenders, I feel like he already has the qualifications that I would set for a goaltender for the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I would have confidence saying it now because the trajectory that he's on, I imagine that there's more accolades in the future for this goaltender. So it feels like a safe bet.
If you're looking at future path, I think Vasi's
It's really
beyond
easy
in.
to put
Yeah.
confidence behind that.
Yeah.
What do we think about guys building a case? Are there some guys that are like, is a guy like Connor Hellebuck working on it right now, where he's had a couple of exceptional years and then he's just been pretty good? Like, he obviously has. The answer today would be no. But is it a good enough start that you could see 5 years down the road? Say he wins another Vezina in the next 5 years.
That might be
and
what
he's
he needs.
and
Yeah.
he's very good in the other 4. Maybe not Vezina, but like very good. Do we start to have that conversation with him? Multiple Vezinas.
Goalie is so tough to get in because I think a lot of it, unfortunately, for the Hall of Fame is still team based.
Sure. Well, and I think that's true of
Of every,
too.
but
I mean,
especially
Jonathan Taves is going to
goalies,
get in, and
like,
Claude Giroux isn't. And
as much as we love analytical stuff, there are still people who put wins and losses on goaltenders and make it matter for the Hall of Fame.
I wish they didn't, man. I really do.
But they do.
I really wish wins wasn't a thing that they assigned goaltenders.
I'm with you, but it's not the world we live in. So
Because the goalie literally can't win a game on his own.
Goalies have scored goals, man.
No goal has ever been scored by a goaltender with another goalie in net. So
Yet.
Grigiev. Market.
It's happening.
it would have to be one of those ones like the empty net goal that the Avs scored this last postseason, where the goalie was caught
halfway out.
Yeah,
A goalie thinks it's a delayed penalty on the other team. or
yeah.
something.
It would have to be. It'd have to be something silly.
The Avs have never had a goalie goal at all, for the record. Berra had one in the AHL.
Nah,
But-
he was real excited about
Yeah.
it. Too. The flyby on the bench was my favorite part of that.
That genuinely was super dope to see a goalie take the flyby. Megan, do you have thoughts on Carey Price? I was curious where you fall on that one.
I am leaning towards yes, just because of the unit of measure for goalies being a little bit trickier than it is for the skaters, and I still think that he could build a strong case.
You don't think he's done forever?
Oh,
Let's start there, because
I don't even feel comfortable saying what I think because I don't have a good feeling.
okay, fair enough.
I hate to speak it out loud, you know?
Yeah, I feel
Put
you.
that on him.
Hope for the best.
Right.
Leave it at that. All right. I think it's really hard to go into Gibson at this point is probably not getting in given his last few years. 3 years ago, you just said he's building a case for it, but now it's really tough.
You're going on almost half a decade of the guy not even being an average goaltender.
Well, and that's why it's so hard with goalies, because we don't. If Hellebuck posts a 9-10 next year,
which is what he just posted.
the conversation is over, right?
I don't think it's over, but it gets harder.
Sure.
Like every year that you're not a top 5 goaltender, when you're talking about a Hall of Fame resume, every year you're not a top 5 goaltender, it gets harder because lots of goalies just don't go in.
Yep.
It's not like with defensemen and forwards. Like, Quick is an interesting one too, because above average career, the postseason play, the success that he had behind really defensively stout teams, I don't think people will care about that. I think they'll look. I mean, they did not give a shit with Martin Brodeur.
Yep. That the Devils played the
Right, that he had the
prototypical trap
he had
in
the
front of him,
easiest job in the league for 10 years in terms of as a starting goaltender. So I think Quick will be a really interesting litmus test of guy who has hardware, but certainly has the longevity. But how good was he?
This is the...
Because the answer was pretty good during his prime.
Yeah.
But was he ever really a sustained top 5 goalie? You know, for me, I would have a hard time judging that just because I don't. That was during an era where it was like Varley or bust for the Avs, and so I just was not as tuned in around the league.
Well,
I'd have to go back and look at numbers and really dig into where he fits into the generation, because I do think Quick will be a really interesting litmus test.
Yeah, the 2 cups go a long, long way for him.
Right, because if Carey Price had 2 cups, this would be an easy yes.
He's in
like,
for sure.
There's no conversation.
Yeah.
You know, Corey Crawford, speaking of 2 cups, Corey Crawford, and the guy had above average numbers basically his whole career. But again, it comes back to, was he ever elite?
It's interesting.
That's how I feel about Tuukka.
Yeah,
Tuukka's
a tough one.
Tuukka for me is a guy that I've always said yes to, because if you go and you look at his career, he almost never had the big down year. He was so good for the majority of his career. He was so good, and he does have the one Vezina that he stole from Varley. I don't know. I think Tuukka, I would lean closer to yes, and then a guy like Bobrovsky, I would lean towards no.
Okay.
I don't think Bob's in.
I support that.
I think Crawford might be out too, because you're gonna get a little bit of voter burnout because Kane's in, Keith's in.
It could be the opposite though. It could be, hey, let's reward those all-time great teams. He was only on 2 of those teams and not all 3.
And the thing is, I think Taves is in.
Oh, I said earlier, Taves is going to get in and Claude Giroux's not, simply because of team success.
Right, and I think it gets hard. Like, I think Taves takes up this is the team guy spot, and then it gets harder for them to put Crawford in too. But
I think Taves gets in because of the kind of like with Fleury. Everybody wants to put him in.
Well, they always sell themselves on, he was the captain.
Exactly.
All the defensive acumen, yada, 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 yada.
I get it.
Anyway, let's not go there yet. Let's move into the defensemen. But before we do that, we are brought to you by Evoca TV. That's evoca.tv/Colorado10.
Fair enough argument for Quick. I can live with that.
You go over there to Evoca TV today. You get TV for just $15 a month for the first 3 months and only $25 a month after that. So jump on it today. You have the opportunity to get Altitude, AT&T Sportsnet, all the national channels, NFL Red Zone, a bunch of movie and TV channels as well through Evoca TV for prices way cheaper than other options like Dish or Comcast. So jump on it today. Go to Evoca TV. Help support us there. In fact, you can even watch us on Evoca TV. The DNVR channel
doing that
is
right
on
now.
there. Yeah, straight up. Flip us on the DNVR channel. We're live, baby. So that's... do we have an official date for the Nuggets documentary yet? No. At some point, that's dropping on Evoca too. So you're going to want to check that out.
I heard they went to Serbia.
I've heard about it once or twice.
Rumor has it.
So check out Evoca. We're also, of course, brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. Opening night of the bar. Well, reopening tonight. Refurbished. It looks dope down there. If you're here locally, come on down. Come have a beer with us. Everyone's going to be hanging out tonight for the opening.
You can tell who the adult on the beat is because somebody dressed up and looks great for the opening, and then there's us.
This was intentional.
Rolled out of bed, and we're like, oh, those are the first things that I see.
I put jeans on, all right? Give me some credit.
Will they stay on?
Jeans. might have to cut the legs off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying.
Go to breckbrew.com if you want to check out all their stuff. They have a bunch of amazing merch beyond just their beer.
I am so excited to have a beer and hang out with everybody tonight.
There are Macargaritas.
Yes.
It's real.
All right, I guess we're having some of those tonight, too.
They're still playing around with what they're going to do to make it unique to Macar. There's some color, like a color change with Curacao that they're working on.
No, all you got to do is at the very end, you make the whole margarita, and then you put something on the very top of it. It's just an innate.
That's what I said. Use grenadine syrup.
See?
It's red. It's easy.
It's easy. It's easy. It's quick and it's easy. Just anyway. The one thing that I wish we had. I wish we had the fish bowls. I had a friend.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was out last night and sent me a picture of his fish bowl, and I was like, I wish we had those at the bar.
It's gonna be long.
I'm a nice
nights for some
person.
people.
Have you guys
I
ever
don't
seen
know
the
if I still would
buckets?
be a nice person.
Have you guys ever seen the buckets?
No, I don't think so.
So it's literally like a bucket that you use like for sand and making castles, and they just fill it to the top with alcohol. Like you can get them at certain restaurants. Those would be pretty cool.
My God.
Do they clean the sand out of them first, or?
They leave a little sand so it feels like at the beach.
Yes.
Disgusting.
What a cosplay.
I guess you get halfway through the bucket and you probably don't notice the sand anymore. So
You start to hear the ocean.
I think that's yeah.
okay. So defenseman. The Keith is the absolute lock.
Do we want to touch on this greatest goalie thing? I want to do this because Jesse's not here to make the bad argument that Hasek got lucky.
Wild's still better.
Because I've always been of the opinion Hasek had the better prime, like the better sustained run.
Absolute peak.
Like absolute peak. Yeah.
Okay.
He had that like 4 or 5 year period where it was like, what is this? But if you go and you look at Waz's entire career, you're like, holy shit, dude.
It's just ultimate sustained success.
This is completely nuts.
Yep. Actually, and then his playoffs are just stupid.
Oh, yeah. What he accomplished in the postseason is 3 Conn Smythes. 3 Conn Smythes. Good God, man. We're going to be laughing about that in 10 years when Makar has 3.
Yeah, right. 1 down.
Dryden, I think Ken Dryden gets really, really, really overlooked in the GOAT conversation of goalies. I went back. I went through like a rabbit hole one night of Ken Dryden's entire career, including all the NCAA records that he set. What the fuck? That guy was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I feel like goalies more than any position suffer from era separation, though.
Oh, dude.
So it gets really, really tough.
Well, and especially because players just didn't play like.
Yeah,
Ken
the
Dryden
position was
retired at like.
completely different.
He retired at like 31, 32 and was like, I'm going to go do something else with my life now.
Yeah.
And like now you don't do that.
Yep.
So, yeah, anyway, I think the goalie GOAT conversation is really just fascinating because there's so many different angles to it, and team structure and all that plays a role into it. Like,
I'm still crazy about Pekka Rinne. I feel like he's just wonderful, but he wouldn't belong in this conversation, but it wouldn't take away from what he did in his career either.
If he got that cup,
Pekka Rinne was really good.
if he got
was
that
really
cup, I
good,
think he
but-
was
Was
probably
really
a conversation.
good.
It's hard to point to something to show for it on a piece of paper that's tangible, but if you watched him play,
He had
saw it.
the one Vezina. He had the one Vezina, but it was like, I don't know. Pekka Rinne is interesting because he was part of the generation that put the Predators on the map in the NHL.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like Shea Weber, Ryan Suter, Pekka Rinne, Roman Josi, all kind of, those guys all sort of combined to be like, oh, hey, the Predators are actually to be taken a little bit seriously. So it really, it's a really good name. I liked Pekka Rinne a lot. I like UC Saros a lot too, by the way.
We know.
I'm just saying. He's only got 1 year as a starter. But if you go and you actually just look at his career numbers, it's like, what the fuck? This guy's just good every year.
You've segued us nicely into the defenseman with Nashville. Chara in.
You segued us with Nashville.
Well, I'm
Here's a guy that didn't play for Nashville.
I'm just knocking these out before we get there. But
the way you led into
Yeah.
it, I thought was great. It was
Chara
great.
in, Hedman in. What's the third? Keith
Duncan
in.
Keith.
Yeah, those guys are
In.
easy. I think those are easy locks. I think Drew Doughty's in.
Probably in. Yeah.
The hardware, the reputation,
Yeah.
just the fact that it seems like when the Kings are bad, he's bad, and when they're good, he's good. And I just think it's a direct result. Though he's that good when he's good, that the team is better.
And then the Nashville guys, one's not in Nashville anymore, obviously, but two very different conversations with Shea Weber and Roman Josi.
Okay.
Really just going to just blow right through Ryan Suter.
We can talk about him, but I don't think he's in. I don't
historically, because I think he's the more interesting conversation. Because historically, how do you value a guy that plays
a billion minutes a night,
a top 4 role, really a top 2 role, but at this stage of his career, it's more like top 4, but a top 4 role for 18 years.
I mean, Adam Foote's not in.
Well, he didn't do that.
He did for like 12.
So, okay. Do you think that Adam Foote was better than Ryan Suter?
Yes.
Okay, I think that's fair. I think in their primes, I think I would agree with you.
There's any doubt in the prime.
I think Suter's got certainly has the longevity there.
For sure.
Because Foote continued to play, but he was not any good the last several years of his career.
Yeah, everything after he went to Columbus started to go downhill for sure. But
yeah, it's too bad. Anyway, I think Suter's an interesting guy just because he's not done. We talk about a guy like Shea Weber, he's not going to play again. We have the book is closed, right? But Suter, I wonder, he's never really won anything. But he's always, I would say that for the majority of his career, he's been a top 15-ish defender, right in that range, for a lot of his career. I guess I don't want to say majority without actually going back and looking at all of it, but he's been a top-ish defender.
How many dudes in the Hall of Fame are you saying have been top-ish?
And, well, this is where you kind of do draw that line, where you're like, okay, this is where international success would help some of these guys.
You're right.
Because had Ryan Suter been part of an American generation that won a gold medal or two, would be, I think,
well, and
you'd really be talking about it. But never getting that opportunity, and then really no accomplishments. But from a defenseman side, this is as close as we're getting to a guy that's a compiler.
Yeah, right.
Because the title of the show is Patrick Marleau, which we'll get to. But Patrick Marleau, a compiler. Ryan Suter, he's a compiler. But defensively, is it easier for a forward to get into the Hall of Fame as a compiler simply because of points? Because you can look at points and say, he scored 1,100 points in his career. What are we doing here? Well, he played for 35 goddamn years.
Yeah, I do think it's easier.
Okay, so how does can a defenseman that's a compiler get in? Like a Ryan Suter. If say Ryan Suter plays 4 more years and he continues to play, he puts up 35 or 40 points each year and he continues to play 22 to 25 minutes a night.
How many games played is he at right now?
I don't have it in front of me, but
because if he starts pushing into the 1,500, 1,600 game range, I think he could get in. And Megan, you might have to be the tiebreaker here.
I say no.
Let's go.
But I'm going to sell out myself. I'm not familiar enough with him
1280
to feel passionately about him being in the Hockey Hall of Fame the way that I'm more familiar with a Shea Weber.
1280, and he's got 639 career points.
Yeah, so if he can play the next 3-4 seasons and stay healthy, and that point number gets to 700 some, and the game number gets to 1,500, I think it starts being a conversation.
Okay,
but today, no, and I do think, especially in the modern age of the NHL, a player like Suter,
Cronwall should not be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Cronwall's a hard no. That's easy.
It's the second time you've asked, so I thought I would just we'll just wrap that one up.
Suter is not the style of player that pops, right?
So, and the reason why I wanted to get into this is because does that set the model for Jacob Slavin?
Honestly, probably.
Jacob Slavin, a very, very good and very well-respected top defenseman in his career, but more of a defensive guy, puts up enough numbers that he's easily a number 1 on his team and all, but historically, Jacob Slavin, if he has the kind of career
I'm not going to say it's impossible. I think just because we haven't seen, if Slavin can keep this up well into his 30s, we saw a little bit more of a tail off, especially on the production side from Suter as he started to age. But
Suter's production's been fine.
It's been fine, but it wasn't like a steady 50 points.
Yeah. I mean, that's a funny line that you drew because he's got seasons of 45, 46, 43, 47, 48. Like he's like one good week from that mark.
Well, there's one good week from the Hall of Fame then every year, I guess.
I guess, yeah. If we're going to have 50 points be that line of demarcation. Okay, so Ryan Suter goes into the Hall of Very Good.
Yeah.
So, okay.
He'll be in the USA Hockey Hall of Fame, but not the full Hockey
I think
Hall
that's
of
an
Fame.
easy call.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ryan Suter is a no, but then a guy like Shea Weber, a guy who won hardware, a guy who for stretches of his career was among the best of the best of the best. And I think we could have the Shea Weber conversation ties into the Erik Karlsson conversation.
I'll let Megan take this first. She can go wherever she wants with it.
I don't know if I want to be the driver of the Shea Weber bus of all
But
buses.
whose bus are you driving then?
Probably Shea Weber a little bit more than Karlsson, and it's only an unfortunate result of what has happened with Karlsson's career injury-wise. The same could be said for Shea Weber too, but I think it's happened at a later stage. And it's a really tough call. I could make a case for both, but I think I'd be more willing to put the backing behind Shea Weber.
So,
Because we already touched on Doughty.
yeah, we said he's in.
Yeah.
Shea Weber, and why I think he could get in, is he has an iconic skill.
Yeah, being fucking awesome.
He's not only is he extremely good, but
That shot.
he could go out on the ice 10 years from now when Nashville has their old stars game, and there'd still be people diving out of the way of his slap shot.
Right.
He is an absolute bomb that people know and respect. On top of, he was an amazing defenseman, by the way. And I think that's what pushes Shea Weber over. Erik Karlsson, despite the unbelievable peak, it put an ad up.
Fuck. Look at the hardware that he won.
Yeah. Like,
Is it Shea
obviously,
Yeah.
the Olympics helps him a lot. And
Well, it's not. So this is a Norris. This is a WJC, a world champion, 2 Olympic golds, and the World Cup.
yeah, the World Cup doesn't mean a ton to me.
And
The
he's got a
Olympics
Mem
do,
Cup.
though. Yeah, then the junior stuff, sure, whatever.
I mean, he's a 2-time All-Pro.
And
Like first, second team All Pro.
the thing is, like,
His peak. The point I made. His peak was the peak.
here's the thing.
It's the peak.
I think EK's peak was higher, but EK was, he's great. Oh, he's the best defenseman ever, and then an actual cliff face.
Yeah. Well, and then he loses half of his ankle.
Yeah.
Plays through it in the deepest
And
playoff
it
run that he went in
destroys
his
it,
career, and it
basically,
ruins the
yeah.
rest of his career.
Yep.
How much do you punish him, even though he can still play? He's still productive. He can't ever get back to his peak because of all that he put into that one run.
That's the decision he made, and
Sure, but he still had that peak. He
don't-
still had the peak
but you-
that led
Yeah,
to a team drafting a guy like Cale Makar in the top 5 because they wanted a guy like Erik Karlsson. He changed the way that teams prioritize those defensemen. And now because of that decision, and because Cale Makar got drafted and then has been the guy that he is, the offensive defenseman has never been more respected in NHL history, in part because of Erik Karlsson.
and it's great the impact that he had there, but you don't give a guy credit for the peak he would have had if he didn't get hurt.
He didn't need the peak he would have had. He had the peak.
He was still a 2-time Norris winner. I didn't realize this, but now I was like, I'm driving the Shea Weber bus now, apparently. I can see the argument for Erik Karlsson almost equally. Well, not almost equally.
I think
the almost is doing some heavy lifting.
I
there.
think culturally, Carlson's impact is bigger.
because Sean Behrens
Well,
models
here we
his
go.
game after Erik Karlsson. There's a reason for that. It's the offensive defenseman and what it did. The generation of offensive defensemen that we're seeing, like Cale Makar, modeling their game after Erik Karlsson. I'm like, okay, I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it in real time play out.
I guess you guys probably just put more weight into him defining that role than I do, because I think that change was coming inevitably, Karlsson or not.
It needs to have a face, though.
And the dudes who, I don't know, like if you look historically, the guys who actually started doing that stuff first never get in. They're just some random dude who like, well, really, he did this, even though Karlsson gets the credit for it.
Just want to clarify. It's not that Behrens plays like EK. It's that young players like Behrens cite EK as being a player they admire. That is coming from the players themselves saying, that's who I model my game after.
An entire generation of kids grew up being like, holy fuck, I want to move the puck like Erik Karlsson.
Exactly.
I don't want to go into a corner and
Krug, but
I don't want to like very few people are like, oh, I want to make a really high IQ play like Ryan Suter and have great stick work. Like, nobody's modeling their games after Devon Toews. They're modeling it after Cale Makar. And before Cale Makar was Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson was the face of that He was also a giant driving force in the rise of the analytics because of what they said about his ability to drive play, where it was like, you don't need to be an elite defender if you never play defense. If you move pucks so well into the other end of the ice, you don't need to defend at the same kind of level because you always have the damn puck because you're always playing offense. It changed the way teams prioritize defenders. I would argue right now that there are a lower number of pure defensive defensemen, like the 15-point, 6'5", put you through the wall type of dudes in the NHL than ever.
I would agree.
Because of the influence of guys like Erik Karlsson.
Yeah, I do think he had a significant impact on the game.
You should model your life after Devon
I don't
Toews.
know if he was the first to do it, and I don't know that I particularly care about that influence.
I don't think he's the first. I just think he's the generational defining defenseman, the one who helped change the game into what it is now. And I think that has a bigger impact than a guy like Shea Weber. And I would put both in the Hall of Fame. This isn't even me like,
right.
I don't have to pick either or. I would just say yes to both. I'm a big Hall guy. I'm not a super small, really, really, really exclusive Hall of Fame guy. I'm a bigger Hall guy, but I would say yes to those guys. I think
I'd say yes to Weber. I would struggle with Karlsson, but also his career's not over, so.
I mean,
I'm driving 2 buses now.
Do they both have to stay over 50 miles per hour?
I was going to say, the third Speed movie is going to be really complicated.
It's that scene with, who is it, Van Damme, who's doing the splits between 2 semis.
Yeah, I can't even say sequel because they made a Speed sequel.
Oh.
It was on a cruise ship.
No.
Nah.
This boat has to go faster than 20 knots.
I literally don't remember anything other than that.
Bermuda Triangle.
We do have to move a little bit quicker here, but a couple other names that need to be talked about on the defensive side. Chris Letang, Roman Josi.
So Roman Josi building it, Chris Letang, I think if you're gonna say yes to Chris Letang today, you'll say yes to Chris Letang tomorrow. Outside of him winning a Norris, which I don't think he has in him.
Nope, not at this point. I don't think it's happening.
Outside of him winning another a Norris or a Conn Smythe, I don't know that, because your biggest selling point is that he was part of the 3 cups with Malkin and Crosby. He was like the third guy with those 3 musketeers. He was that third musketeer. Does he get in solely because of that? Is that enough? While recognizing Chris Letang has been great. He's had a great career, and every player who gets drafted in the NHL would cut a bitch to have his career.
I There's no way I can say yes to Chris Letang and not say yes to Erik Karlsson. I'll put it that way.
Starting to turn into a small hall guy here.
I am. It's happening right in front of me.
So this is where you balance the, for Jonathan Taves, I think the two of us certainly would say no.
I would definitely
I would not
no.
put him in the Hall of Fame. I
Definitely
don't know how
no
you
for
feel
me.
about it.
I'm not that passionate about a yes. But I haven't sat with it long enough. I would still lean towards no, though.
Go ahead and pencil you down for no.
But I'm looking at the compiler argument. And with someone like Chris Letang, I don't know how much hockey is left in him.
Well, the Pens just signed him to a contract that believes
That,
they've got.
that's what I'm saying. So it's like, all right, that could
they
lend
seem to
itself
think he's got some.
compiler.
Yeah.
For Taves, there are some health issues that I just don't see that as strongly for him, which makes me lean towards no even more. That I think his hockey's kind of behind him.
Yeah.
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 I would agree.
There's not really any other interesting names. Yossi's a no for me right now.
Yeah, Yossi's the guy that's still building that case.
Yeah,
I think
he's got some time.
That's where him losing this Norris to Makar could really hurt that legacy, because now you're talking about multiple Norris wins for Roman Josi if he wins that.
Yeah.
And that's tough to. You start to build. You put that hardware up there, and you're like, it wasn't like he was a top 5 defenseman. He won the Norris, which is hard to do. Only one guy gets to win it every year. So winning it is a really big deal. Winning it multiple times, you're a very, very, very special player. So I think Roman Josi, I think we'll see how the next 5 years go. As of right now, I would probably say no, but if he stays at the level that he was at last year, holy smokes.
Yeah, there's a world where he ends up with like 1,000 games and 700, 800 points. And then you're like, okay. But right now, I don't think so. I don't think anyone else on this list is really that close. Yandel's not getting in. Carlson's probably not in.
Yeah, John
either.
Carlson's a no for me. Has John Carlson ever had an extended run as a top 10 NHL defenseman?
He had that 1 year where he was like, this guy could win the Norris.
This is why I say an extended run.
Yeah.
Because that's one where you're like, he's always kind of been there.
Yeah.
Kind of like a more offensively oriented Ryan Suter. He's all like,
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
he's just been there forever. But is he that next level? I think the answer would be no on John Carlson too.
Yeah, I think so.
It's funny. Carlson and Suter both going to go into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely locks. You could throw same guy in that same category, Joe Pavelski.
Are we good on D? Are we?
Yeah.
And like we all think, Cale Makar is going to be there. He's going to make that case.
It's just too early to put him in.
Yeah.
Like-
I mean, I've said before, if he got into a car accident tomorrow and he couldn't play hockey for the rest of his life, I think that you could have a genuine conversation where 3 years in the NHL, he wins a Norris, he has a second place vote, or he finishes second place 1 year. He has a top 10 finish his rookie year, in which he wins the Calder, and he has a Conn Smythe. Combine that with the international success where he did win a gold medal with WJCs. He does have a Hobie Baker. I think you could make an argument that Cale Makar did enough, if something traumatic were to happen, did enough in such a short period of time that you could say you could put him in. He would be the ultimate. I think he'd be the ultimate litmus test for elite run, like an elite run of play. So,
I wouldn't put him in, but apparently I'm the small hall guy. So, Megan, you continue to be the tiebreaker.
This
here.
is Cale Makar?
yeah.
As of today.
If
Yeah.
he was paralyzed today,
Yeah.
it's not going to happen.
All right.
I mean, we sure hope.
Better not. We have no control over that.
And not even for a hockey reason, just for his own personal.
Yeah, straight up.
I'd say no, but I wouldn't be happy about it.
Okay.
Garbage. Soft. Both of you soft.
On that note, we are brought to you by Athletic Greens. You can go get yours today at athleticgreens.com/avalanche. When you go over there, you get your, do you call it a powder? What's it?
it is.
Is it a supplement? I don't know what.
No,
to
it's a
call it.
power pack.
A power. Well, the power packs are the
No,
travel ones.
It's a power pack that helps you make a power pose after you've consumed it.
Oh my
okay?
god!
That's what I've been doing wrong.
No power posing.
No power posing.
It's great for you. It's one scoop in your cup of water every morning. It's got 75 different vitamins and minerals, a bunch of other probiotics and adaptogens and things like that. People use it for their immune system. They use it for pre-workout routines. They use it for just feeling good every single day. So it's a great hangover cure, by the way. Since if y'all are coming to the bar tonight, I'm just saying.
Just kidding, dude. You just gotta get the IV for that.
The IVs are so expensive, though.
Yeah.
That's the thing. With Athletic Greens, though, it's super easy to use every day. A bunch of athletes use it in their daily routines as well, so you can take control of your health. Again, go to athleticgreens.com/avalanche to order yours today. And when you order, it comes with a year's supply of vitamin D just for ordering. So great stuff all the way around. We're also brought to you by Pins and Aces, our new official DNVR golf apparel. You can jump on that. Get it right now.
Great to load up on Pins and Aces gear for one of our golf tournaments.
Yeah,
which are quite popular.
They do really well.
Yeah.
I love our golf tournaments. I wish I could go to more of them, but
I know you've participated in a couple. You went to one of them.
I just drove around in a golf cart. It was awesome.
You didn't even like take somebody's club and like take a practice swing or two? Like,
I don't think I was trusted. I asked a few people, hey, can I?
I don't think I was trusted. Megan has developed the reputation of hiding knives and now is not trustworthy with a golf club.
No one would say it directly to my face. I think they were scared.
All right.
all right, it's okay. I'll let you swing my lefty clubs. It'll be fine.
Oh my god, that sounds awful. I can't the physics of that.
It's so brutal for me. Like to go righty, it's impossible.
I bowled left-handed one night just to see if I could. And it's not like I'm like a world-class bowler with my right hand, but I did it with my left hand and all my steps were all backwards. And it was the weirdest thing. I put up like a 160 bowling left-handed. I'd never done it before. Everything was broken, and I was like, should I just switch?
Am I just a lefty?
Good. Yeah.
I had a better score that night left-handed than I did right-handed, and it made no sense to me.
I've known people who play sports with the non-dominant hand.
Yeah, I grew up playing baseball. Plenty of kids would throw left, hit right. So, anyway. Go check out Pins and Aces, pinsandaces.com. When you use code DNVR, you get 15% off your order and free shipping. They're awesome. They have a bunch of amazing golf merch. Highly recommend. Shout out the golf pros, too. Go follow Big Drive Energy on Twitter. Our golf guys are dope.
They're a lot of fun.
Their TikTok is actually what you should follow.
Yeah.
Their TikTok is amazing. Phil Kessel is not getting in.
Moving on.
Yep.
No for me. Sorry.
So the forward side, there's a lot of good conversations. Obviously, we put Marleau
before
in
we
the
get
title,
into modern
but
guys. Pierre Turgeon, Alexander McGillney, put them both in the goddamn
absolutely
hall.
should be in. There's no
Put them both in the hall right now.
Yep, you could put Pierre Turgeon in any day, and everyone would just go, "Yeah, okay, cool."
Somebody would be like, "Oh, the old guy. Why are we gonna put that guy?" And then you go back and you look at his career, and you're like, "Holy shit, that guy could play." It's funny to hear all the guys tell, all the beer leaguers in Denver tell the stories about seeing Pierre Turgeon, where he'll just mess around. Like JJ's told the story where Pierre Turgeon likes to shoot at his mask just for fun.
Yep.
Not hard. Like he'll like wrap it around and toss it up,
And
just hit him
flip
in the
one up
face with
there,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Just to make him mad. So Vincent Nampoose, no.
I don't want to get into too many old guys.
Yeah. Those were the two guys that really stood out to me as.
Those are the clear snubs.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
You should take that.
I already know AJ's take here, so I want to start with Megan on Patrick Marleau and the accumulator debate as a whole, because Patrick Marleau is the epitome of, he is the accumulator. He has the most games played ever in NHL history.
That's the compiler of all compilers.
Because of how we've used compiler earlier for other players, I feel like I have to say yes based on how we applied it earlier. That's
such a reluctant yes.
Hold on. And I actually really like Patrick Marleau, the human being. So this is not a yes, I want to be.
He's got the
reluctant.
daddest face that ever dadded.
He was
He's
just
big
a
dad,
terrific
for sure.
human being. The leadership that he brought to Sharks, I was just going to say, though, I don't know off the top of my head what his hardware looks like.
It's not much.
Not a lot.
WJCs, what are we working with?
All right, you're gonna make me look it up, but no, it's really the big selling point I think with Marleau is the games played, and it's a weird thing to put a guy in to the Hall of Fame because of that.
He just peaked
I don't
too.
think that's that weird. When you're the best, like when you have the most ever of a stat.
Yeah, and the last couple of years, he kept getting jobs because the team wasn't trying to be competitive.
He's 2 gold medals. That's pretty good.
So he
They're up on the screen, by the way, guys.
Thank you.
You got to go to quant hockey. That's the way I know how to look at it.
played in 3 All-Star games.
How many years was he in the league?
Like 18 or something. More than that. It had to be more than
Yeah, 'cause
that.
that's
It must be
kinda
like
like-
22.
21, 22, 23.
23.
Interesting.
97 to 21.
Oh, actually, will you stay on those points totals?
Yeah.
I'm curious what his last few seasons look like.
Yeah, that last season is really brutal, but
Yeah.
everything before that's
Pretend.
okay.
Yeah, those 20 and 30-point seasons. That
I mean,
was
that,
really great
like,
stuff.
you're still an NHLer if you're putting up those type of seasons. 9 points in 56 games, not so much.
Interesting. It's harder, yes, still.
It's a yes for me.
So, you know how many times he received Hart votes in his career? Not even like won the Hart or was a finalist, but how many times he appeared on a Hart ballot in his career?
Nope.
5 times.
Well, that's more than I thought.
And that is he finished 23rd,
Sure.
26th,
Not relevant.
17th, 21st, and he peaked. He peaked at 9.
Again, this isn't about his ultimate skill level.
Isn't that not what the Hall of Fame should be?
It's more
showcasing the
it's-
best of the best,
it's-
not the guys
yeah,
who hung on the longest.
And he's the best of the best at longevity.
That's
No one has ever played more games in the NHL than this guy.
his willingness to stick around when he stopped being an overly effective NHL player is why he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. That's the argument that we're making here. That's the argument.
We're making the argument that a guy
What the fuck?
managed to keep himself in NHL shape for 21 years.
So now we're saying a guy goes in the Hall of Fame because he was in great shape?
Yeah, look, if he wasn't a good enough player to stick in the NHL for that long, teams wouldn't have signed him. It's not like he's some bum who just played 1,800 NHL games.
If the Sharks were trying at the end, if they were competitive, would he have gotten an NHL job and broken the record?
Maybe. I don't know. Also, I don't think it matters. The fact that he broke 1,700 NHL games, he was in for me. Like,
dude,
that's an insane amount of hockey.
Yeah, availability is fine, but you're talking about the Hall of Fame.
The
Hall of Fame, where the people who shape the sport go. So the guy who hung around the longest gets to go into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Because he was a fine top 6 player?
It's not like he's a bum either. He had 1,200 some points, and I get it. He was around forever, so he had more time to get points. Yeah, he still scored the points, though.
Yeah, and at no point was he ever a top player, though.
He does, yeah. Oh, darn, you're not a top player, but you played 1,700 NHL games. I guess you're a bum.
I'm not even saying he's a bum. I'm saying he should be in the Hall of Fame because of games played.
Yes, he should. You should. If you top a statistic, you should be in the Hall of Fame. Full stop. Even plus minus.
So you get to just decide that you don't even have to be that good to get in the Hall of Fame. So the small hall guy, who's keeping out,
you're completely
generational talents, so Patrick Marleau can get into the Hall of Fame.
How impossible it is to play that many games. You're undervaluing this so much, and casually ignoring all of his other statistics, which are all very impressive.
Yeah, like scoring 566 goals in the NHL. Like you score 500 goals, you probably should be in the Hall of Fame. That's one of those it's like when it's like in baseball. You get to 3,000 hits. You're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But that's if a guy takes twice as long to do it.
All right, Megan, mom and dad are fighting, and you have to solve it.
I think there needs to be a new Hockey Vibes Hall of Fame. Phil Kessel, Marc-Andre Fleury, and Marleau. Easy. I'm sold. On vibes.
This to me is like if Nazem Kadri played till he was 45 years old, you'd put him in the Hall of Fame?
If he had the statistics, yeah.
And good vibes.
If Nazem Kadri played and had played from now until he was 45 years old, and he was the average 50-point guy that he has been the majority of his career.
He'd be in.
And then obviously the last couple of years he has the fall off.
That was his,
but his average, he's more or less a 50-point guy.
Yeah, assuming he gets to something like 1,500 games and over 1,000 points, yeah, he's in.
Okay, so you think that longevity is more important than greatness? You think that longevity is greatness?
Yeah, so again...
I should say, you think that longevity is its own greatness, not replacing
greatness.
Correct,
and I believe sustainability is important. It's kind of the conversation of why I struggle with EK, because I'm not arguing that his peak wasn't unbelievable, but it was so short.
So this is where I think we've developed a fundamental difference on how we value the Hall of Fame, is that you want a guy to be able to do it for a long time, and I want my Hall of Fame to be the guys who are the absolute best at it, and I don't worry as much about longevity. So obviously I take it into consideration, I take it into account.
Maybe,
but the fact that I said that I would put Cale Makar in the Hall of Fame right now, tells you that,
and maybe
the greatest to do it. I'm more concerned with the guys who are at the absolute tip top of the game.
I guess my bias might be...
For me, Marleau was just never that guy.
I don't think he was ever like a tip top guy of the game too, but the longevity just means more to me. And on the shorter term side, maybe my bias is that if you're that short term of greatness, I want you to be Peter Forsberg. I want you to be arguably at his peak a top 5 all-time player.
Yeah, well, I think that's why Forsberg's in. That's why Lindros is in. That's why Bure is in. Because you had 3 guys who were the absolute peak of what they were capable of.
And if you don't have sustainability, you need that level of greatness for me to get in. And every year of sustainability, it lowers that bar a little bit for you, I think.
I guess I really struggle with a guy who was never considered really a top 10 player. Maybe even a top 15 or top 20 player. Was he ever even the best player on his own team?
Probably for a year or two in there.
Because he was there with Joe Thornton, who we haven't even mentioned, but is an easy yes.
The innest of in.
An easy yes. Because that's longevity and excellence at the tip top of the game.
That's where we should drive the conversation, too, is players who embody both these two things.
Well, they're not interesting to talk about because those are easy yeses. Joe Thornton is fucking incredible. He had an amazing career, is one of the absolute best playmakers in NHL history, and I think that one's too easy. So, if you want an interesting conversation, what about Nick Backstrom?
Yeah, that's where things...
Because that's a guy that I had previously said, for me, was a yes. Because he's been a point-per-game guy for 900 games. He's a point-per-game guy. That's crazy to me. But now he's got injuries that may... I think either end his career or greatly reduce his effectiveness as a player. Is what he's done has he done enough?
I think the answer is yes. He broke the 1,000-point barrier, which is huge. He's one of the greatest assist guys of all time. His international stuff, he's got 2 Team Sweden World Championships. He's got a silver medal at the Olympics. Obviously, the cup for Washington is huge for him. I would still say yes to Backstrom.
Just for comparison's sake, Patrick Marleau's first 1,000 games or so, 766 points in 1,035 games.
And that's the balance of Backstrom is a significantly greater player in that time frame.
That's basically Gabe Landeskog.
But Backstrom isn't going to play another 700 games in his career.
Yeah.
I would say yes to Backstrom. And if Landy plays another, 10 seasons, I'd probably say yes to Landy too.
I don't even care what the question is. I'll always say yes to Landy.
Megan, so we can kind of expand this. There's a conversation here in this section.
The Nick Backstrom conversation is so much easier than I thought it even was.
It's easy.
Look, yeah, he is the shit.
By the way,
So,
yes.
Also easy, Bergeron.
I had him at the top of my list.
So
I feel like it's easy.
Okay.
I think with the Guy Carboneaus getting in, that opened up an easy road for defensively excellent guys to get in. My concern with letting a guy like Bergeron in is, does that open it up for Ryan O'Reilly?
Probably.
Because if you're going to try and tell me that Ryan O'Reilly's in the Hall of Fame, I'm about to break this whole fucking set.
I mean, he's not in today. If he retired today, he wouldn't be in for sure. But
If he plays till Bergeron's age, if he plays to 36,
yeah,
37,
that's
38.
where it gets tough.
Right. Like, he still put up a 65-point season last year.
Fucking kill me.
Bergeron did. So that's, Ryan O'Reilly would have to play to that level at a later age.
So if Bergeron's in, Kopitar's in.
Kopitar was the other one on my list. Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Why also...
Megan's about the defensive forwards. Got it.
That's also like Cups, Selkies. He had the
all
one
of it.
year where he almost won the Hart.
Yeah.
When Taylor Hall stole it from McKinnon.
Lady Bing.
Like, he's been... And no chance at international success because he's the only player from Slovenia, if I recall.
The only one with significant games.
Yeah. Like, you look at Slovenian hockey history, and it's like Andrzej Kopitar.
And that's end of list. Yep.
He's another one similar to Bergeron, too, who is still playing really well.
Yeah, both of them have had
Those are the guys that we need to stick around to keep O'Reilly from getting the Selkies required to get in.
just play 3 more years.
Channel Marleau.
O'Reilly is...
There it is.
Unless O'Reilly is going to leave St. Louis and come back to Colorado, then he can win a bunch of
Oh my
Selkies.
god, here we go. What a homer.
The look on that face right
I
there
don't
was...
hate it as much as I would hate other things. But I wouldn't be driving the O'Reilly bus.
Stamkos easy in?
For me, it's yes. But I've always loved Steven Stamkos.
Me too.
I think so.
He's over a point per game. He's
Yeah.
gonna break 1,000 points
And
this
I
year.
think the one thing is that he'll get credit for a postseason run that
that
he
he
was
played
not.
literally 3 minutes
Yeah,
in.
that he was not part of. So
Scored a goal though.
it was pretty impressive, man. Goals for 60 off the charts that year.
So that one, after that, it really gets hard after that. Then you start talking about Claude Giroux,
No,
Corey Perry,
no.
the traitor,
What's he won?
nothing.
That's goddamn right. It's nothing.
Yeah, and then that's kind of end of list. You have Kucherov down the way with less
Well,
games
and like
played,
you get
but
into the guys that you think will probably be in someday. McDavid, Draisaitl,
but they're not
Yes.
they're not there yet.
yeah,
really,
those guys. But
Tough because of not having won anything, but still being the best at their
Yeah,
position.
if Nathan McKinnon never wins a Hart, but he continues to be, a 90-ish point player, whatever, we're comfortable saying that, yeah.
yeah.
If he has 5 more like truly elite years, we're good with putting him in the Hall.
Honestly,
Even if he never wins any more hardware.
I think I'd probably put McDavid in today.
He was someone I had on my list
I
with
yeah.
possibility for yes
Yeah.
because of
Like
what he's done.
Yeah.
Especially
Already.
these last couple seasons.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's like, how many Art Ross does he already have? How many hearts does he already have?
Right.
Like, he's won all the hard. Like, that's one where you're like, oh, well, his team's success is now being held against him. So, yeah, no, Perry's not going in.
I don't think he is.
What do you want to say about Ovechkin? It's an easy yes. Like, come on.
Yeah, there's nothing to talk about.
We talked about moving past those guys because there was nothing. So, is Sidney Crosby going to get in the Hall of Fame, guys? Like,
Who?
come on.
Just kidding. I'm sorry.
Of course. If those
Cole
guys
Harbor
aren't in your Hall of Fame, you don't have a
the real Hall of Fame. Who knows? I mean,
Like, those aren't guys who are just in your Hall of Fame. Those are guys who have wings.
Yep.
In it.
Yep.
Like, Alex Ovechkin should have a full-blown exhibit of his
He
own.
gets the whole goal scorer wing. Like,
yeah, it needs to be him. It needs to be Gretzky. It needs to be Bossy.
when Austin Matthews retires, he retires into the Ovechkin wing.
Yeah,
Like,
straight up, like, absolutely. We literally, Joe Thornton. We just mentioned him. Absolutely,
easy,
yes.
hard yes.
Somebody mentioned Ryan Getzlaf. I think that's a tough one for me.
He's the super borderline guy.
He is right on the
Yeah.
edge for me, where the high end was absolutely there. He played for a long time. He has hardware. Not a lot of hardware, but some hardware.
If he keeps playing, he's a yes for Rudo at least.
He said he was retiring,
Aw.
so he's done.
I did not know that.
1,000 points in 1,150 games.
Yeah, I think I'm probably a yes on him.
I,
It feels like if I'm such a yes on Backstrom, I have to be yes.
I'm such a
Getzlaf.
sucker for the guys that are assist ballers. Like,
It's funny because people will be like, oh, well, secondary assists are noise. And you're like, yeah, well, a guy that picks up 65 assists per year,
yeah.
he might just be good at this.
Yeah, I think he's probably in, especially because he gets the captaincy
here.
bump.
Are they waiting on us? Okay, let's get out of here.
Yeah, we've ran way over time at this point, so we are going to get out of here. We appreciate all of y'all. We hope you enjoyed the Hall of Fame conversation. We are off for the weekend, but the bar is open. So
Yes, I'm Malkin.
come on down. Yeah, Malkinson. We will be back next week with a whole bunch of different stuff. We want to have our culture conversation, but also Avs rookie camp starts next week.
Yeah,
So
we're back at the rink next week,
Thursday is day
which
one.
is both
Yeah.
exciting and I'm just not ready. One more week. I really could have used one more week.
The Labor Day weekend, I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Like,
but
I'll admit, going through the TV service that we just got at the house, and I saw that one of the categories is AHL, OHL, WHL, QMJHL. I was like, I think I'm ready for that.
yeah,
And then I started watching minor league baseball. So
that sounds about right.
look, man, the Rockies system is all of a sudden flush with dudes that I am interested in. They have so many like 18, 19, 20-year-old guys that I can dream on that I'm like, I'm going to watch high A baseball for the next 3 weeks.
Conversation for a different pod. We love you. We're out of here.